paycheck planners, and welcome to my budget with me for the month of March. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I like to copy and paste the previous month's elements into the current month. It just helps me to not have to start completely from scratch when it comes to my numbering and making sure that I have the right elements in the right place. So I import my paycheck planner into my iPad, which allows me to copy, paste, duplicate, edit. Absolutely love having it digitally like this. So I'm pasting those elements in from February. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the highlights from the month of February. And once I get those removed, then I will be going through and adding in the changing the elements from the February colors to the March colors. So the first element that I'm going to be changing out is my payday icon. So I will go over to my sticker book and copy that and paste it into my paycheck planner, resize it. I will need to get the February icon out of the way, so I'll just delete that. And then I will move the March color into its place. Resize it, get it just how I want it. And it's good to go. I did have some words, a text box over my mortgage icon, so just getting that out of the way while I'm deleting that, and then I will copy once again the March icon for my mortgage. I will copy that, paste it over into the paycheck planner, resize it, get it exactly how I want it. And pop that right on in there. And just going to speed this up while I change out the rest. Again, just swapping out the elements, color for color, icon for icon, making any adjustments to due dates or changes that have occurred while I go through this process. I will be very honest, this is probably the most time-consuming part of my budget setup for each new month, but I just like having the matching colors and the pretty stickers, and so just another element of making my paycheck planner mine, and of course pretty, and just makes me happy to look at it. So I'll get that finished up, almost done. And then we will move on to my paycheck on the 1st of March and getting that all ready to go. So here I'm going to open up, I'm going to leave the calendar on one side, again, an upside to having this on my iPad. So I'm going to leave the calendar up on one side of my screen so that I can reference those due dates. And then I will open up the paycheck budget on the other side so that I can work on it and review the calendar at the same time. Now, if you print out your paycheck planner, then of course you can just have them side by side. But someone like me that has it digitally, this is a feature that makes it very nice and easy to reference. So I start out by listing all of my income sources for this paycheck and rearranging it, getting it how I want. So this rollover that I'm including here, this is any money that I'm intentionally rolling over from the month of February into the month of March. So the main source of my rollover income is going to be the money from my envelopes and my sinking funds. I roll that over from my last paycheck in February into the 1st, because regardless of what days I get paid, I always stuff my envelopes and my sinking funds on the 1st and the 15th. Just makes it easier for me to do it that way, so that's what I do. So I'm going to now include my projected amounts for each of those categories. Now, my rollover could change depending on if I decide to roll over any money from my envelopes, or if something else comes up or anything like that. So these are projected numbers. That's why I have a budgeted column as well as an actual column in case any of that changes. And then for my Etsy shop, I always lowball this number. I don't ever want to assume that I'm going to have more money coming in than I actually do. So I always lowball that number, and then typically whatever number, if that number is higher, is just going to be going towards a savings goal or debt payoff for that month. So now I'm just totaling up all that income for this paycheck. And then I will move on to the next section. The next section here is gifting and tithing. I don't have any of that right now. So just carrying that balance down. And then now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be literally following my calendar day by day and writing in those bills into the category that they belong into. So the first is my Shell credit card. That's what I use to put all of my gas on, and then I always pay it off in full. So my budget for that is $100. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes it's a little more, but again, that's why I have a budget and an actual column. The next bill here is going to be my automatic savings contribution. So just adding that in the savings column. I automatically transfer $100 on the first to my savings account, just right out the gate, first thing I do. So now I'm adding in here a credit card payment. So this is going to be the minimum amount due for this credit card. If this was the debt that I was focusing on for the month, any additional payments that I made to that card would be listed in additional debt payments in another column. So this right here is just the minimum amount due. Next up is utilities. I have DirecTV. Moving that out of the way. And next up is my subscription that I have. It's one of the only subscriptions I have. So I list that under miscellaneous just because it doesn't really belong anywhere else. But as you can see, I put the category that I will classify it as out to the right so that when I'm doing my closeout, I know exactly which category I intended that to be counted into. Next up is Insta Ink. So I add that in there. Again, these numbers are estimates. When the actual bill posts to my account, I will fill in the actual amount in the actual column. Next up is Home Depot. So I purchased a washer, and I did decide to finance that. I have 0 interest for 24 months, but I intend on having it paid off in the next 6. I did not want to classify that as debt, even though technically it is, but the expense that I'm paying on it for is a household expense. So that's just how I'm choosing to track it. Next, we have water. Now, my water bill includes my water and my trash, and my water company just switched over to a new billing system. So, this particular billing cycle is much longer than it typically is. Normally, my water bill, I only budget, my water trash bill, I only budget $100 for. Excuse me, $60 for. Next up is our home security, have that in there. Just double checking, see if there's anything else that I need to add in here. Oh, yep. So I have broken my car payment up into 3 paychecks. So I take a third from this paycheck, a third from, well, this is the second third because the first third was my last paycheck in February. And then the remaining balance I will take out of my first paycheck, and that's when I will pay that bill. It just allows me to break up a very large expense into smaller fragments. And you'll see that on my March at a glance, I have it broken down into the 3 different amounts that I save for. So I'll finish with the calendar, gonna move that on out of here. And now the next step is just for me to go in and add up all of my sections. So first section is gonna be debt, total of $414, which leaves me a remaining balance of $2,679. Next up is utilities, $186, new balance, $24.94. Next up is my miscellaneous household, car, pet, all that good stuff, $344 there. Leaves me with a remaining balance of $21.50. Savings, I am participating in the vacation savings challenge, and I did forget to add that in, so I'm just adding that in there now. I'm going to be contributing $125 to that. And the money that I save in the savings challenge will be for a trip that I am taking to Las Vegas. So that total for that section is going to be $225, which will leave me a new remaining balance of $1,925. Last section is going to be miscellaneous, total of $405, with the new remaining balance of $1,520. So now time to fill in my cash envelopes as well as my sinking funds. Again, one of the benefits of having my paycheck planner on my iPad is I am able to copy and paste. So I'm going to go back to my February 1st paycheck budget, and I'm going to copy my envelopes from there. And then I will go back to the current paycheck budget that I'm working on, and I will paste that in place. I will have to change a couple of the amounts as I did roll over some funds from January to February. I don't know if I'm rolling over anything into March yet. So for now, I'm just going to set it up as if I am not rolling over anything. So you can see here I'm removing the, just readjusting here. Sorry about that. I'm getting these all lined up the way that I want them. And then just going in and changing those rollover amounts to 0 for beauty and also for pets. And then we'll update the total for those envelopes to the correct value as well. So 40 for beauty and 35 for pets. And then I'll just need to total this section, which is $675. And that will leave me with a remaining balance of $845. Now, time to work on my sinking funds. So I'm going to go back to my last paycheck in February, and I will copy those sinking funds as the balances will be up to date. So I'm going to copy those, and then I will paste those into my March 1st paycheck budget, and then get that pasted in there. And then I will fix that little coloring here and those others, like the funded, ongoing, and in progress. Those are section titles that I added just to kind of help me keep organized. So I'm going to update that color so that it corresponds with March. So just selecting that and then going to do a custom color, just moving that around until I find the one that I like. I think that will do it. There we go. So now I'm just going in and I'm updating those values. So my balance at the end of the February, for example, in my property taxes was $1,050. So I'm now making that my current balance. I will be adding $50 this paycheck. So that will make my new balance $1,100. And I'm just going to go through and do that with all of the envelopes that I will be adding funds to. Next, I just need to total this section, which is $250. That leaves me with the remaining balance. Oh, typo here. Fix that. $595. I am going to be going to Hawaii here very soon. My father passed away, and I'm trying to cash flow as much of this trip as possible so that I don't have to take as much out of savings to cover that trip. So I will be using the $595 left over towards the expenses for that trip. So $595 is the total for that section, which leaves my balance at 0, which is exactly where we want to be. Until we speak again, happy budgeting.